You ever find yourself saying, I'm fine, right after crying in the bathroom, or maybe after spiraling in a text message thread, right after feeling like the world is too loud and your skin doesn't fit? I'm fine isn't honesty. It's armor. It's survival. It's something a lot of us were trained to say when the truth just didn't feel safe. And this is fine is a trauma response. Hey, I'm Alex, and well, this is fine, a Millennial Diary. This one's for every time you smiled when you wanted to scream, every time you said it's nothing because everything felt too much. Today's question is simple. Why do I keep saying I'm fine when, well, I'm not? And the answer goes all the way back to when we were taught that vulnerability, well, that made us a burden. You see, for a lot of us, I'm fine became automatic. Not because we were, but because it made things easier, especially for other people and for ourselves. It bought time. It avoided follow-up questions. It diffused situations where honesty might have made things just a lot worse. I remember once in the middle of a really rough week, exhausted, anxious, sleep deprived, a friend randomly asked me, "Hey, how are you doing?" And without missing a beat, I smiled and said, "I'm fine, just busy." Meanwhile, I had barely slept, hadn't eaten, and I was just sitting in my car for like 30 minutes straight, just staring at my phone. See, I wasn't fine. I was unraveling. But the lie, well, that was easier, cleaner, less work than explaining the truth. Look, a lot of us grew up in environments where emotions weren't welcome. Crying made people very uncomfortable. Anger definitely wasn't allowed. And sadness was, well, being dramatic. So we adapted. We stayed quiet, smiled when we were hurting, cracked jokes instead of, well, opening up. And you kind of learned quick that I'm fine is the fastest way to move the conversation on, to avoid the awkwardness, to avoid making someone feel something you're already struggling to hold. But here's the thing. You say I'm fine long enough, and well, people start to believe you. Even the people who actually care. Even you. You train the world not to ask any questions. You make it harder for people to actually see who you are. And you create this loop. You're not okay. You say you are. No one checks in. You feel invincible. Repeat. It's a trap. And the worst part, eventually you start gaslighting yourself. For instance, one night I was visiting family. Everyone was catching up, laughing, eating. I was sitting at the table, smiling, joking, like I always do. But my chest was tight the entire time. I kept thinking, I don't feel okay. I just want to go lie down. I don't know why. But when someone asked if I was good, the automatic, yeah, all good, came out like muscle memory. Then I got in the car and I rode all the way home talking to myself because I didn't want to make the room heavy. I didn't want to be the problem. I didn't want anyone to worry. And in that moment, I chose comfort for them over honesty for me. But here's the spoiler. You're not fine. You're just overdue for a feeling. So why do we keep saying I'm fine? Well, let's just answer it. Because we were taught that your feelings were too much, that your sadness was inconvenient, that being strong meant silent. But silence isn't strength. Pretending is definitely not healing. And fine is not a feeling. You're allowed to say, I'm overwhelmed. I'm sad today. I don't even know how I feel, but I know it's not fine. Because truth is connection, and connection is how we heal. You don't owe anyone perfection. You don't need to be easy. You're allowed to be real, even if that means being a little messy, even if it makes the room quiet, well, for just a second. So here's what I want you to take from this. Next time you hear yourself say, I'm fine, ask one more question. Ask yourself, is that true or is that just familiar? Because you deserve more than just an emotional autopilot. You deserve to be heard, even if what you're saying is hard to hear, especially then. And maybe, well, just maybe, someone else needs to hear it too. Next time right here on the Millennial Diary, codependency is not a love language. We'll talk about what happens when our sense of self gets tangled up in someone else's approval and how to untangle care from control. And hey, if this episode gave you anything, validation, reflection, a little emotional gut check, do something for me. Head over to alexiscardoza.com to find all of my socials, catch up on past episodes, and follow the show on Apple or Spotify so you don't miss what's next. And if you're watching on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. We're on the road to 10,000 and healing out loud. Until then, you don't have to be okay to be worth showing up for. You just have to be honest. And this is fine.
Goodbye.